I'm Cecilia Louie of Paper Zen. Daisies are such cheerful flowers, aren't they? In this video, I'm going to show you how to make these adorable blossoms using a fringing technique in quilling. Before we dive in, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll be notified of new tutorials. In my previous video, I showed you how to cut your fringe by hand and how to protect the bottom of your fringed flower with and without a bulldog clip. To see how I make fringed cuts, watch the previous video in this series called Fringed Flowers No. 1 Dandelions. Another method for hand fringing flowers is to draw a very light pencil line using an existing 1/8 inch strip as your ruler. This way you have a visual guide for cutting. Let's start by folding your 1/2 inch wide strip in half, then half again. This reduces our cutting time by 1/4. After making all the cuts, unfold your strip and glue a standard 1/8 inch wide yellow strip about 5 inches in length to the end. And while the glue is wet, stand your strip on top of your table surface to make sure the edges are even. For those of you who have an electric cutting machine, you could cut a fringe like the one I made for you in the daisy tutorial and attach a colored strip like the one you just saw me do. Or you can download a new file which has both the fringe and the 1/8 inch center already attached. To add color, I like to use markers. Sometimes I just love the color of my marker when I can't seem to find the right shade of paper. In my previous video, I showed you how to fluff your petals with a ruler. Here's another way to fluff your petals even faster, using the edge of your desk. I hope this technique is easier for anyone who has challenges with dexterity in their fingers. If it is, can you let me know in the comments below? Now I'm ready to start coiling up my daisy. And I'm just going to put this finger here at the top and my thumb at the bottom just to make sure that this coil starts off nice and straight. And as I get to the fringe, I'm going to use this fingernail here and give it a base. And then I'm going to push the flower off the tool, and there we've got our wonderful daisy. If you happen to have a tool with a smaller circumference, you'll obviously get a smaller inside hole. I'll leave a link in the show notes below where you can find that tool. And if you want to take it yet another step, I actually enjoy adding a brad to the middle of my flower. And not only does that mean I don't need to use a marker to color the inside of my daisy, that also means I can hide the hole that's left by my tool. After you flatten this out, we just glue it to our greenery. In your files, there's 2 types of greenery. This one's quite symmetrical and perfect and, you know, perfect. And this one I deliberately made one petal smaller, one skinnier, one shorter, and you know, it's just kind of fun to make it not so perfect, I guess. I think, you know, it's like anything, after a while you kind of notice, oh, when things are so perfect, it's so static, I guess. And I just wanted to add a little touch of realism to it and just make it a little different, I guess. So now that I've got my daisy and the prongs have been flattened out from the brad, I'm just going to add that on top of my greenery and let that set. And you know, just like in nature, if you want to, you can actually add just like a little hint of glue here and, you know, bring 2 petals closer, and it'll just kind of mimic how nature is just not always all that perfect. And I love it. I love it when it's so different. It's not so even and static. When your machine has finished cutting the greenery parts, I find it's easiest to dig it up from the middle using my quilling tool. I find that when I lift it from the petals, it actually tends to tear the petals. If you're cutting your greenery by hand, I also have an option for you as well. Come to my blog and download this card, and it's going to be a great little backdrop for your finished flowers. On the side here, you've got some outlines for the greenery, and it's just enough room for you to cut it out along with this whole printout, so we're not wasting any paper. And I would just take this and put it on top of your green cardstock, and I find the best option is to actually staple it in place. And you can actually, you know, do one by one or what have you. And it's a little tricky because it gets a little fine in there, but I find if you come to the curve and then let the scissors come to this part here and meet together in the middle, you don't have to follow it exactly, okay? No one's going to see that inner area, but I find that that's actually the easiest way to get these petals to be as close to the outline as you can. Now when you're ready to do your card, I would follow the numbers that I have here. I've got 1 to do the score line first, and then the long lines second and third, and then 4th and 5th are the shortcut lines. Then that way you still maintain your crop marks in here. Like basically when you go to cut, use your X-Acto knife and just start right just beyond the trim marks, but don't cut your entire sheet off. If you do, then you lose your crop marks, okay? And then when you're done, you can fold this in half and it's ready for my pillow box envelope. Don't forget to come to my blog to download a free copy of my pillow box to protect your quilt cards with a pocket of air.